In 1968, on a quiet stretch of ranch land in Montana, a routine construction job made a mistake that would change American history forever. There were no archaeologists on site, no cameras, no sense that anything important lay beneath the grass and stone. Just a backhoe digging into the earth near a rocky outcrop, tearing through layers of soil that had not been disturbed since the end of the Ice Age. At first, everything looked ordinary: gravel, dirt, rust-colored sediment. Then the blade exposed something that didn't belong there. Bones, human bones, stained a deep, unnatural red. The machine stopped. Workers climbed down into the pit, unsure of what they were seeing. As the soil crumbled away, more objects appeared. Sharp-edged stone points, delicately shaped bone tools, everything coated in red ochre, an iron-rich pigment that doesn't occur naturally in that concentration. The count kept rising. Dozens of artifacts, then over 100. Work halted completely as the realization set in. This was not debris. This was not a random scattering of tools. This was a grave. And buried inside it was a child who would rewrite everything we thought we knew about the first Americans. For nearly a century, archaeologists had been obsessed with one question: who were the Clovis people? Across North America, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific Northwest, the same type of weapon kept appearing. Long, elegant stone spear points with a distinctive groove chipped into the base. These fluted points were not decorative, they were engineering. The fluting allowed the spearhead to be mounted securely onto a wooden shaft, creating a weapon strong enough to bring down mammoths, mastodons, and giant Ice Age bison. More than 10,000 Clovis points have been found across the continent, their edges still razor-sharp after 13,000 years. The people who made them lived at the end of the last Ice Age, hunting megafauna as glaciers retreated and landscapes transformed. But there was a problem. Despite all the tools, despite decades of excavation, no one had ever found the people themselves. No confirmed graves, no intact burials, no human remains directly associated with Clovis tools. Until Montana. What made the discovery so extraordinary was not just the number of artifacts, but who they were buried with. The individual in the grave was not a hunter or a warrior. He was a child. Radiocarbon dating would later reveal he died 12,600 years ago. He was between 12 and 18 months old, too young to hunt, too young to walk far, too young to understand the world he was born into. And yet, he was buried with the full technological arsenal of his people. More than 100 objects surrounded him: fluted spear points, scrapers, bone tools carved from mammoth and elk, antler implements shaped with remarkable skill. Each object had been deliberately placed. His body had been wrapped in animal hides, then covered in red ochre, so thick it permanently stained the bones. This was not a hurried burial. It was ceremony. It was grief. It was an act of care carried out by people who understood meaning beyond survival. In the silence of that grave, the child became more than a loss. He became a message sent across 12,000 years. The land belonged to the Anzic family, who had no idea their ranch sat atop one of the most important archaeological sites in the Americas. The child became known as Anzic I, named after the family who unknowingly protected him for millennia. His remains and the ochre-stained artifacts were sent to Texas A&M University, where they were carefully cataloged and stored. For decades, researchers measured the bones, studied the tools, and debated what they meant. Radiocarbon analysis confirmed the burial dated 12,600 years before present, making it the oldest known human burial in North America directly associated with Clovis tools. And more importantly, it was the only confirmed Clovis burial ever discovered. Every theory about the first Americans now rested on this one child. But for years, science lacked the technology to unlock his deepest secret: his DNA. Time passed, and then something remarkable happened. A young girl who had been alive when the grave was discovered grew up and became a scientist. Her name was Sarah Anzic.
As a child, she had watched adults discuss the discovery on her family's land. Years later, she found herself drawn to molecular biology, specializing in genetics and ancient DNA. Eventually, her path led her back to the same bones uncovered decades earlier. This time, she wasn't just a witness to history. She was part of the team that would finally unlock it. With advances in ancient DNA technology, researchers could now extract genetic material from remains tens of thousands of years old. But the process was risky. Ancient DNA is fragile. Heat, moisture, and bacteria destroy it. Even a single modern fingerprint can contaminate a sample. To prevent this, Anzac One's bones were handled in sterile clean rooms. Technicians wore full-body suits. Air pressure was controlled. Every step was designed to keep modern DNA out. Samples were drilled from deep inside the bones, areas untouched since burial. What they recovered were tiny fragments of genetic code, broken and damaged by time, but still readable. The team sequenced the genome to an average depth of 14 times coverage, an extraordinary achievement for remains this old. To confirm the DNA's authenticity, they looked for a specific chemical signature known as cytosine deamination. Over thousands of years, cytosine bases degrade in a predictable way, leaving molecular scars at the ends of DNA fragments. Those scars were everywhere. This genome was ancient, it was real, and when the results came back, they shattered decades of assumptions. Anzac One's DNA showed no trace of European ancestry, none. This immediately destroyed the Solutrean hypothesis, a theory that claimed Clovis technology originated in Ice Age Europe and crossed the Atlantic by boat. Instead, the child's closest genetic relatives were ancient Siberians, including the 24,000-year-old Malta boy from near Lake Baikal. Even more striking, Anzac One was genetically closer to 52 indigenous populations across North, Central, and South America than to any other group on Earth. This proved something that could no longer be argued. The Clovis people were direct ancestors of modern Native Americans. They were not Europeans. They were not a lost race. They were not replaced. They survived through their descendants. The DNA also revealed something else. Anzac One belonged to a southern Native American lineage. This meant that by 12,600 years ago, populations had already diversified and spread rapidly across the continent. Humans didn't slowly wander into the Americas. They expanded quickly, adapting to new environments, following coastlines and river systems, and establishing communities across thousands of miles. This aligned perfectly with other discoveries, including Monteverde in Chile and the White Sands footprints in New Mexico, which show humans were present in the Americas long before Clovis. Clovis was not the beginning. It was part of a much older story. But Anzac One became the genetic anchor that finally tied archaeology, climate, and migration together into a single narrative. For years, there was debate over what should happen to the child's remains. Scientific study had revealed his importance, but he was not just a specimen, he was an ancestor. In 2014, after consultation with tribal nations and the Anzac family, a decision was made. Anzac One would be returned to the earth. In a quiet ceremony in Montana, surrounded by indigenous representatives and family members, the child was reburied. Not as a relic of the past, but as a respected ancestor whose story had finally been heard. His bones went back to the soil, but his DNA had already changed history forever. Today, nearly every indigenous person in the Americas carries genetic echoes of the Clovis people, and every non-African human on Earth carries proof of ancient migrations, survival, and adaptation written into their DNA. The Anzac child answered one question, but raised many more. Who arrived even earlier? How did people move so fast across an entire continent? How many stories are still buried beneath our feet, waiting for the wrong machine at the wrong time to uncover them? Because the truth is this: the first Americans were never lost.
They were here all along, waiting.